Well, welcome to another edition of Susie's Las Vegas, and I have a special guest that's been on my show before, and he hasn't been on for quite a while, so we're going to catch up with him today. He's moved to Pahrump, so he's going to be my new roving reporter in Pahrump. So say hi to Ed Bevilacqua.
Hi, Susie. Thank you for inviting me to be on the show. It's great to have another opportunity to talk to you.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what's happening over the hump in Pahrump.
I'll start by saying it's very different there.
Okay.
And right now, what I'm working on is, in the past, we were helping people come out of prison and jail and people in those unfortunate situations. Now, our focus is homeless people.
Okay.
So,
well, that's a good thing to, focus on, because there are quite a few homeless people.
There are, not like here, not like Clark County, because there's only about 50,000 people in Nye County.
Okay.
Versus what's down here, 3 million now?
Oh, my God, yeah. True.
So as a percentage, they're probably the same, but it's a smaller number. However, there are no resources in Pahrump.
None.
No. So here you have Catholic Charities, Salvation Army, Shade Tree, Rescue Mission, Lutheran Services. There's a whole bunch of things.
Wow.
Up there's only a couple. And we're like the only ones that provide housing.
Oh, wow.
And there's no overpasses.
Oh, okay. So they're...
So when it's hot outside, you don't have shade.
Yeah.
When it's raining, you don't have dryness.
Wow.
So... And there are no sidewalks, and there are no buses up there. So you're walking.
How does walking? That's it.
And
that's the mode of transportation.
It's the mode of transportation if you're homeless, and you might be living out in like the desert.
Oh yeah.
Okay. There's no I'll sleep behind here. So it's a lot rougher. And if you're in the park, that's okay unless you fall asleep. If you fall asleep, then you get a ticket. You get arrested.
Oh my God, you get arrested?
Yeah. So
what do they say? Don't do that again?
They say you're going to jail next time.
Well, then they're in out of the elements, and they're in jail, right?
Well, except there's no room in the jail.
Oh no.
So they let you out the next day.
Oh, okay.
Except now, if you get arrested again, right, and you're out sort of on your own recognizance, and you get arrested, now you got problems. And so the whole system just falls apart. And of course, our justice of the peace up there just got convicted.
Yes, I noticed that. Let's talk about that while we're at it.
Well, I am a big fan of Michelle Fiore.
Yes.
And I'm a lawyer. She's not. She was justice of the peace. And because she's not a lawyer, she has to use what's called equity, fairness. And I got to say, she was very, very good as a judge of what is fair. Okay. Versus if you are a member of the bar and you know statutes and procedures and things, and so does the other side, if you're a public defender or if you're on the DA side, they do and the judge does and everybody does. And there you tend to be like it's us and them, meaning us lawyers and other people.
Correct.
So... it's not good if you're a defendant.
No.
In Pahrump, in Nye County.
I wouldn't think so.
And in fairness to the system, though, if you graduated from, I'm going to get a lot more haters on this, but if you graduated from law school.
Yeah. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. This is a good show.
If you graduated from law school, from a good law school.
Right.
Would you want to be a public defender in Nye County?
No.
No. Right. So who are the public defenders in Nye County? Generally, people who couldn't get a job anywhere else.
We both said that. Who knew?
Yeah. Now, what if you're on the DA? Same thing, right?
Yeah.
How about a judge? Kind of the same thing, right? Or you retired from here. There is one judge who was somebody here, retired, and now he's a justice of the peace, and he's okay, but the system is just tough.
Yeah.
It's like the school system here, right? K through 12 is not good.
Correct.
So the university system isn't really good.
Correct.
right? So everybody
Yeah.
has to go out of state
Right.
to like where you grew up, to
Right.
Carnegie Mellon, right? To Pittsburgh.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. So
Go Pittsburgh.
So I'm not really critical of the quality of attorneys in Nye County because it's just the result.
Correct.
It's the result of the system.
Right.
But it's not good if you're a defendant.
No.
And if you break the law, that you get arrested, you go to jail. They don't have room except for bad people, and then you get let out, and you're back in the park or you're back in whatever. And it's just not a good system.
Ed, how big is their jail over there?
I think it has 150 beds.
That's it.
Yeah. The last time I did an interview, we had a classroom in the Clark County Detention Center,
Okay.
which has 4,000 beds.
Wow.
That's larger than any prison in the state. And right now in Nevada, there are about 10,000 people in prison,
Wow.
okay, in the state. So how many people do you think go through the Clark County Detention Center every year, the jail in Vegas, the main jail?
I have no idea.
So there's 10,000 people in prison, right?
Yeah.
So the number
Obviously, a
is
lot more than that.
70,000 people.
70,000?
Yeah, go
So-
through that jail. Go through that jail.
What are they in and out? You know, like,
Well-
was there a big turnover or what?
Well, there is, but I don't remember what the numbers are. But 70,000, 4,000 beds. You can figure out how many the average stay is.
Wow.
Yeah. So 150 beds in Pahrump is whatever it is, but they arrest about 9 people per day. And of the 9 people, so that's 270 a month, right? So that's almost
Correct.
double
Yeah.
if they're putting everybody in jail. That's twice as many beds as they have, so they got to let people out, and it's tough.
It sounds like it.
We had an interesting situation last week, or a little bit more than a week ago.
Yes, I want to hear more about this. I heard a little bit. You really want to listen to this part of the show. It's really important.
So I got a call from a church.
Okay.
I'm with Love Thy Neighbor, which is a volunteer organization.
Love Thy
that
Neighbor.
Love
Okay.
Thy Neighbor.
Beautiful.
Love Thy Neighbor -NV,
Okay.
which is letters, not a word.
Uh-huh.
It's not envy, right?
Yeah.
So Love Thy Neighbor -NV.com. And we help churches help people because there are no services there, right? There's no Catholic charities, none of that.
None of that.
So it's volunteers helping the churches help the people in need.
Okay.
And so I got a call from one of the churches
Okay.
saying, we had a woman here who's 8 months pregnant. She's been living in the park for 2 days.
How did she get to the park?
She got to the park because she escaped from the trailer that she was being held captive in. So again, this is Pahrump. This is the wild, wild west.
Okay. So who held her? Was it
Some guy,
a previous boyfriend? Was it
I think it
was it-
started that way.
other than that?
It started that way.
Okay.
It started that way. I don't know, but and I probably, being a lawyer, kind of have a little reluctance getting the backstory, what's going on. Maybe I should, but I don't really.
Right.
So we got her out. She's 8 months pregnant, and it's like, wow, we have about 50 beds, half full
Okay.
for people.
Okay.
So we get a call from the church, and the answer is, can you help this woman who's pregnant that's living in the park? She's been in the park for 2 days. She came to our church looking for food. She has no money. She has nothing. So the answer is what?
Yes.
Yes.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Okay, yes.
I know, Ed. He's going to say yes.
He said yes. And so we go get her, we pick her up, and she's healthy because she was living, in a trailer. She wasn't,
Right. She was, yeah. She wasn't living out in the elements.
Yeah,
Correct.
except for 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, but her thing was, but I haven't really bathed, so I'm kind of, can I sit on the outside of the car as you drive me over, whatever.
Yeah.
And then last week, she was having contractions. So her father came from here, from Vegas, took her to the hospital, and she gave birth to a healthy 6-pound, 9-ounce, 18-inch son.
Okay.
Named Joshua David.
Okay.
And so now she's in our facility. And the thing is, but for us, then what?
Right. What happens then?
Well, she would have been in the park. She probably would have gotten arrested.
Right.
She probably would have had the kid, her son, while she was in jail, or maybe he would have let her out.
Wow.
You know, life changes really fast.
Correct.
And so, and that's not an untypical story. We have 4 women who are in their 70s that were living in their cars.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they still with you?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
long have they been there?
One of them has been with us since, I think, June.
And this is October.
Yeah.
Okay. Does she have a job? I mean, have you?
No,
put-
she's 70. She was living in her car,
Right.
and she was able to convince a car mechanic to allow her to leave her car in the lot, in the yard, in exchange for sort of being like the guard dog,
Okay.
like if somebody showed up.
Right.
Well, you know, again, this is Pahrump. So once she moved in,
It is the Wild Wild West, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, it's,
Yeah, we're talking about things that most people wouldn't believe that they are happening in Pahrump.
so in fairness to Pahrump,
Yeah.
I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up and went to school in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
And when you have affluence, right? When
Correct.
people are throwing money around,
Right.
people want to help.
Sure.
When it's hard scrabble and there's a penny on the ground, right? What is it? Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fight to the death, right?
Yeah, they're all going to go after it.
And so that's kind of the nature of Pahrump versus the Silicon Valley, right?
Right,
Everybody's,
absolutely.
what do you got? Okay.
So
you
it's
know,
a small town.
it's a small town that is not affluent.
Right.
It's retired people mainly, and
And
a lot of
everybody
retired
knows
military.
everybody else's business, pretty much.
Yeah, there's a lot of Facebook traffic of,
Yeah.
you know, who's who and,
Yeah.
and stuff like
and
that.
what's going on.
And it's not, you know, it's not a reflection of the people. It's a reflection of the system
Okay.
up there. So I'm
All
not,
right.
I'm critical of the people, but it's not really the people, it's the system.
Okay.
But when you have a 70-year-old woman and you make a deal with her, okay, you can park your car here, but at night you need to be like the guard dog.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to get the car out because when she came into our housing, now the guy wants to charge her storage fees. So now she can't afford to get her car out. So I'm down there talking to the guy, and it's, well, you know, we were doing this because she was like the guard dog. And my thing is, this 70-year-old, 92-pound woman is not a guard dog.
Correct.
She's not going to stop anybody.
No.
She's going to get hurt, if anything.
Right. How would she stop any? Right. Did she have a phone to call in case?
Well,
somebody
she would
broke
have a
in?
call, but if you're stealing there and
Yeah,
you see somebody
it's
with
too
a
late.
phone making a call, what are you
Right,
going to
You're
do?
gonna.
Say, oh, lady, I'm sorry,
No,
please.
wrong answer.
Yeah.
Bye. You're going down.
Bonk.
Yeah.
So, but then it's even worse because if she needed to use the restroom, now what?
Correct. Wow.
So you can imagine how it is if you're a 70-year-old woman living in your car because you can't afford anything else. And at night, you know, your whole life has to revolve around, if I have to use the restroom at night, I'm not getting out of my car. So it's tough. So Love Thy Neighbor is a bunch of volunteers that have gotten together to help the churches do this because
Right.
the county doesn't have the resources. So am I critical of the people in the county? Sort of, but not really, because Nye County geographically is like the 7th largest county in the country. A lot of territory. It takes 3 hours to go from Pahrump to Tonopah, which is
Okay.
the south to the north.
Right.
And so it's a lot of ground to cover. But on the other hand, you should have people with vision, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And have a pretty good IQ. So if you
Correct.
don't have vision, so you don't have money and you don't have vision, what is life like? it's just you're on the rat wheel, right?
Well,
It's
sure
okay.
you are.
I got, my check comes in,
Yeah.
I pay it here. I
Yeah.
don't have anything left.
No.
You don't have vision. You can't attract people.
Correct.
You can't attract the kind of industries you want or tourism. Pahrump is you pretty much have to go through Pahrump to get to Death Valley, and there's 1 million people that go to Death Valley a year.
So what's your idea, Ed? How would you bring traffic, and how would you straighten out Pahrump if it were you, if you could do it?
The voters have to get. We need to elect people who have vision and a high IQ.
Correct.
Because the people that want to come in and exploit Pahrump,
Right.
they have high IQs. They're smart people.
Well, of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
Developers, lawyers, people like that are not there, see an opportunity, and they go there.
Right.
And it's just right, human nature, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So one of the things that we're trying to do is get more people to go to church.
Okay.
Okay. What? Yeah.
Is it non-denominational, or is it?
Well, the churches we have
all right.
have a bunch of non-denominationals, Lutheran Church, Methodist Church, non-denominational churches, the Catholic Church. About 8 churches are actively involved. There's
Okay.
30 churches in Pahrump.
Okay.
Okay? And nationally, 28% of the population now identifies as spiritual but not religious. They don't believe in going to church.
Right.
The churches that have been hit hardest are the denominational churches. So like when we grew up,
Sure.
everybody was either Catholic or Lutheran or Presbyterian or
Right.
Baptist or whatever.
Exactly.
Methodist. Okay,
Yeah.
now a significant number of people are non-denominational.
Right.
And it's not a lot of tradition and ritual. It's more of the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. Read the Bible, indwelling of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And nationally, though, the number of people who go to church is falling like a rock, and they're thinking in the next 20 years, less than half the population will be attending churches.
Right. I believe that.
So I'm in graduate school getting a master's degree.
That's what I wanted to ask you next. See, he reads my mind. Okay, so.
To understand the situation, the problem. And when I go in and do Bible study in the jail, it's kind of helpful if you have a piece of paper that says you're an official person. And one of the things that we're learning is the church of the future is going to be very different than today.
I believe you.
What's happening today is this is like the number one destroyer of people going to church because we're skeptical,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
How do I know what you're saying is true? How can I believe
Right.
you?
We all check everything on
Yeah.
the internet,
Yeah.
of course.
And so the church of the future, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And what they say is get used to different,
Mm-hmm.
which actually in the TV show The Chosen, have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Okay. So in one of the early episodes, Peter says to Jesus, well, this is going to be different. And Jesus says, get used to different.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. And so my interest is non-believers. Most of the people are the believers in Scripture. You hear about the shepherd who has 100 sheep and one goes missing and he goes out for that 100th sheep.
Correct.
And I say, okay, great, but what my interest is the 500 sheep that are not in a flock.
Correct.
Let's help those people because those are the ones that need it the most.
Mm-hmm.
And the churches, one of the pragmatic reasons to join a church is the people in the churches want to help you,
Sure they do.
right? If you're a woman living in a park
Right.
that was pregnant, that has given birth, and you go into like Trinity Church, Assembly of God, how are you treated? Like a superstar, right?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, you really had a tough time. What can we do to help you? What do you need? You need diapers? You need formula? What do you need that we can help you with?
Right.
And now how is that going to be the probability that it will be for the kid if the mother stays on that path?
Right.
Much better
Well, of course.
than,
Yes. She's found a new way.
yeah. And
Right.
we aren't designed, our housing, our 50 beds are not designed for retire. So it's not like this woman, like we're going to have this kid when he's 18 years old.
No.
living
It's
there.
a turnover.
Yeah, and so we have to help them move forward, and the churches are the best way to do that. And I would say, even here, if I was here in Las Vegas, I would be advocating the same type of thing. Catholic Charities is good. These things serve a good purpose. What we need to do is help the people who are spending the night move on to be able to have employment that's stable, meaningful, and a livable wage, and continue on with their life, and have the people in the churches, and then we have more people going to church. And when you have more people going to church, you have less people going to jail.
Correct.
Right?
Because they see the way, the right way instead of the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, you don't break the law.
Yeah.
If you let me say it this way: you don't go to jail if you don't break the law.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And if you have respect for other people
Right.
and yourself, and you do what Jesus said to do, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, love one another as I have loved you, and make disciples of all nations. If you do those three things, are you going to go to jail?
No.
No. Are you going to end up living in the park?
No.
You're not going to
No.
do that. But as a people, as a society, we are becoming less religious and more spiritual. And those people are called nuns. Nones. Like, they're not, what church you go to? None. I go to no church.
Yeah.
Or my friend, the head of the National Action Network, Dr. Robert Bush, says sometimes he goes to Bedside Baptist, which means, it's a joke. It's,
Yeah.
I don't go to church. It's at
Yeah.
my bedside.
Yeah.
And, but that's what we're doing. That's what the need is. And I think it ties in. And churches have people who want to help, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know how to help.
Right.
We had another young girl who was 25. I think she's got autism. She was out on the streets for a year pushing a baby stroller around, I think as a way to ward off people raping her.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so she was doing that. And one woman from Trinity Church saw her and decided, I'm going to bring her home. I can't handle this.
Right.
But then she got home and she got cold feet. It was like, I'm not letting this person in my house. I don't know who this person is.
Don't know what she's going to do.
So she had her sleep in the car all night. She called her pastor, who called me. I called her that night, but she didn't answer the phone because she was busy, whatever, I don't know what. But the next morning she brought her to us. And we have the woman stabilized. And in our housing, we're very fortunate that we have a psychiatrist who, all of the people who want it are under the care of the psychiatrist, and we have other professionals that are helping them. So It's not just, here's a bed, deal with your problems, or here's a bed and the Holy Spirit will deal with your problems, because that doesn't really seem to work. If you're not a believer, right?
Right.
If you're not a believer, and I say to you, well, the Holy Spirit will do it. It's like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, Ed, what is the name of your organization?
Love thy neighbor.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And where are you located?
Well, we are becoming national. So we have a person in Prescott, Arizona, who's out finding the churches and where's the food banks and the clothing closets and where's the this. So then we send the next person who can actually make.
So you're connected with Prescott, Arizona?
Yeah.
Pahrump in Prescott, Arizona.
And then we have somebody in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay,
doing
so
the
you're
same
all the
thing.
way across the country.
And it's a replicable model, right?
Okay.
So we have spent a year learning how to
Do this.
get the people in need, get the churches, find the food banks, do the resources, get all the housing. We spent
Right.
a year doing that. And now the idea is to help people who are there, wherever that is, go out and provide services or train people and send them out.
How are you funded, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it's a
This is a
it's a
good
mystery.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's our mothership is Homeboy Industries, which is in L.A. Father Boyle, a Jesuit, And our spiritual director is Father Max, right?
Okay.
Who you know very well.
Yes, I want to have Father Max on my show.
Yeah,
the
that would be
next time
great.
he comes back into town.
And when people said to Father Boyle, where did you get the money from for Homeboys? It was just, I don't know. We
How
just
long have
kept,
they been in business?
I think Homeboys about 30 years now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's long running.
Yeah.
So you have a good model, is what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
we call it our mothership. We do a different thing than they do. They're mainly gang intervention, but it's people in need. That's the common
Okay,
thing.
so they do gang intervention
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Okay.
And but the answer is, where do you get the money to do this? I don't know. We just
People give you things.
our main model that we did before, and we still do, was we'd help people come out of prison.
That was in Las Vegas.
Yeah, who had nothing, no housing, clothing,
Right.
food. We basically invest in them and get them a job, and then they pay us $25 a day.
Okay.
That's our basic model. We will do all of this, help you get a job, and then you pay us $25 a day to cover our
Are
costs.
you doing that now
We do that now up there
in Pahrump?
in Pahrump. The women who are in their 70s, they get a little bit of money, like they get
Like-
maybe $900.
Like Medicare or?
Medicare, Social Security,
Medicaid,
retirement, whatever they get, about
Yeah.
700, about 900, so they can afford
Right.
to do it. We have other people who they have nothing, and we have some people who have nothing and they can't work.
So then what do you do?
Well, we have support from churches where people make donations.
Okay.
And there's one agency in particular, Nevada Outreach and No to Abuse gets grant money to help people who can be helped. They can't just spend money. But,
Right.
But some people, for example, if there's somebody that's going to get a HUD voucher, HUD housing, if the
Correct.
federal government's going
Right.
to pay, and there's a period of time where this person needs housing because their HUD housing's not available, Nevada Outreach or No to Abuse has funds available for short term, and they will pay us the $25 a day to house that person. And this is a person who's been screened that if they put them in housing, they have a job or they have something. It's not
Okay.
there are no programs for retirement for people.
Okay.
And we're not trying to do that.
You're just involved in the homeless.
Yeah, but
Right now. Okay.
Jesus calls us to help the hungry, the thirsty, the naked, the people in jail, the sick. And so if somebody is in need, we have to figure out how to help them.
So going forward, Ed,
Mhm.
what are your plans going forward for the next year? What do you see happening?
Coming back on your show.
To be continued, huh?
Yeah.
No, but seriously.
To keep doing what we're doing, to help as many people as we can.
Okay.
We also are developing a relationship with the Catholic Worker, which is something that was an organization created in the early 20th century by a woman in New York called Dorothy Day. And same model, helping people who have nowhere to go. There are people living in trailers. We have another woman who was living in a trailer with no water, power, sewer, up on the hill
In Pahrump.
in Pahrump. She would not bathe because that was a deterrent for getting raped, right? And she got a ticket because her trailer was on private land, and the authorities were like, "We want you off this land." She couldn't move the thing; it had no wheels on it, and so she got arrested and she went to jail, and she was in jail for a year because nobody cared about her, and we got her out.
Wow.
And she's now with us. But the point is, nobody should live this way.
No.
If people treated their animals this way, they would be brought up on criminal charges for neglect.
Of course they would, yes.
The county won't. So you have little camps of these trailers that don't work. And they kind of put them in a circle like you'd think this is kind of like the Wild West, where, they circle the wagon trains. And they have these little groups, And one of the things that we wanted to do and some of the churches wanted to do was put a dumpster out there and a porta potty.
Right.
And the county said no,
Why?
because they could burn it. And it's like, yes, that's true, they could. But they're not going to allow it because right now they have to throw their garbage out on the floor and they have to defecate out here in the woods.
Correct.
They're not going to allow somebody to knock over their porta potty.
No.
They're going to protect it like they protect their trailers.
That's right.
There isn't really a problem of people burning down people's trailers. You know, it does happen, but it's mainly the person on the inside of the trailer was, you know, had a fire because it was 30 degrees outside.
Right. And they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, and the place caught on fire and everybody died.
Well, you know, this has been an extremely interesting show. What I'd like to find out, Ed, is if people want to donate to your cause. I mean, this sounds like one heck of a good cause here. You're in Pahrump and you want to donate to Ed Bevilacqua. How would they go about doing this, Ed? Would they call you? Would they send you an email?
They could call me. They could go to donate to one of the churches that we have. Trinity Church comes to mind, the Catholic Church up there, the Knights of Columbus.
Okay, so any one of those three, and if they mention your name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just how can I help?
Okay. And
How
now the
can I
same
help?
goes for Las Vegas here, because we're not that close. You know, we're close to Pahrump, but we're not that close. But I'm sure we all know people that live in Pahrump. And I didn't realize that they had all the problems that they have over there. So I want to thank you for coming on and
Thank you.
bringing me all of this information, because it is very, very interesting. And it's sad, actually, that these things are going on. I'd like to have Ed back on the show again, so to find out what's going on. So probably in the near future, I will have Ed back on. I want to thank you for being a part of this show today to my audience. And please like, subscribe, and share. And Ed, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
It was
Susie.
awesome to have you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm not
It's our
letting
show.
go.
Take care.